Throughout human history, scattered across continents and cultures, we find recurring tales of mysterious, towering figures who descended from the heavens. These were not the monstrous beasts of folklore, nor were they the ethereal, formless spirits of religious texts. Instead, they were described as distinctly humanoid, yet impossibly tall, with skin as pale as fresh snow, hair like spun platinum, and eyes of a striking luminous blue. Could these stories be more than just myth? Is it possible that our ancestors were recording actual encounters with beings not of this world? These beings are known today in ufological circles as the Tall Whites, a name that perfectly captures their unsettling yet majestic appearance. The legend of the Tall Whites presents a narrative that is both fascinating and deeply challenging to our conventional understanding of history. Unlike the more commonly discussed grey aliens, known for their cold, clinical abductions, the Tall Whites are often depicted as ancient observers, teachers, and even progenitors. They are said to move with an otherworldly grace, possessing a quiet authority that commands respect and awe. Their presence is not one of overt conquest, but of subtle influence, a guiding hand that has allegedly shaped human destiny from the shadows for millennia. The question we must ask is, why? What interest would such advanced beings have in our primitive, developing species? These beings are said to possess a lifespan that dwarfs our own, living for nearly 1,000 Earth years. This longevity, combined with their advanced technology, would give them a perspective on humanity that we can barely comprehend. To them, our entire recorded history might seem like a fleeting moment, a brief and chaotic experiment unfolding on a remote planet. This perspective could explain their supposed policy of non-interference, a hands-off approach that is, however, contradicted by one very specific and profound piece of evidence, a genetic marker that appeared suddenly in our DNA and spread like wildfire, a marker that mirrors their own unique physical traits. So, we are faced with a profound mystery. Are the Tall Whites simply a modern myth, a composite of ancient legends and 20th century science fiction? Or are they a tangible reality, a race of extraterrestrial guardians who have been with us all along? The evidence, as ancient astronaut theorists suggest, is not found in crashed saucers or government documents alone. Instead, it may be written in our myths, carved into our oldest stones, and most incredibly, encoded directly into our very own genetic blueprint. The story of the Tall Whites is, in essence, the story of ourselves. If these celestial visitors do exist, where do they come from? Ancient texts and modern whistleblower accounts often point in the same direction, to a brilliant orange star in the constellation Bootes. This star is Arcturus, located approximately 37 light-years from Earth. It is one of the brightest stars visible in our night sky, and ancient civilizations across the globe held it in special reverence. The ancient Greeks called it Arcturos, the guardian of the bear. Could this name have a deeper, more literal meaning? Was it not guarding the constellation, but guarding something or someone here on Earth? It is a fascinating possibility. Proponents of the Tall White theory suggest that Arcturus is home to one of the most ancient and advanced civilizations in our galactic neighborhood. They are described as masters of energy and consciousness, capable of interstellar and even interdimensional travel. Their technology is said to be biological in nature, seamlessly integrated with their own bodies and minds, allowing them to manipulate gravity, heal, and communicate telepathically. Legends from ancient cultures, from the Sumerians to the Egyptians, speak of wise sky gods who brought knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, and law. Could these gods have been Arcturian visitors, the Tall Whites of legend? Other theories propose an alternative origin, or perhaps a secondary base of operations, in the Aldebaran system, located in the constellation Taurus. This star is also prominent in mythology and was of particular interest to early 20th century esoteric groups in Germany. The idea was that beings from this system, nearly identical to the Nordic human phenotype, had visited Earth in the distant past. Whether from Arcturus or Aldebaran, the narrative remains consistent. A tall, fair-skinned, blue-eyed race of extraterrestrials has been interacting with humanity for a very long time, viewing our world as a unique and valuable cosmic garden. Their motivations are described not as imperialistic, but as custodial. The Tall Whites are said to be cosmic scientists or preservationists, and Earth is their grand experiment. They allegedly follow a strict directive of non-interference, with one major exception: genetics. They are said to see humanity as a race with incredible potential, a unique blend of primal aggression and divine consciousness. To them, our planet is a genetic nursery, a place where new life can be seeded and observed. And it is this alleged genetic intervention that provides the most compelling and controversial piece of the puzzle. For hundreds of thousands of years, every single human being on planet Earth had brown eyes. It was a universal trait, a default setting for our species. Then, something extraordinary happened. Sometime between 8,000 and 10,000 years ago, in a single individual living near the Black Sea, a brand new trait suddenly appeared: blue eyes. Modern science has traced this development to a specific mutation in a gene called OCA2. This gene doesn't create blue pigment, rather, it acts like a switch, turning off the mechanism that produces brown melanin in the iris. It is a fascinating biological quirk. What is truly astonishing to scientists is that every single blue-eyed person on Earth today, from Scandinavia to Australia, from North America to Asia, is a direct descendant of that one single ancestor. Genetic studies have confirmed this with remarkable precision. The genetic sequence in the specific part of our DNA responsible for eye color is nearly identical across all blue-eyed individuals, indicating an incredibly recent and singular origin. This is not a case of gradual evolution occurring in different populations. It was a singular event, a genetic spark that ignited in one place and at one time, and then spread with astonishing speed and success. From its origin point in the Pontic-Caspian steppe, the blue-eyed trait radiated outwards, primarily into Europe. It became unusually common among the populations of the Baltic region, Scandinavia, and Northern Europe. Scientists have often wondered why this recessive trait, which offers no obvious survival advantage and even increases sensitivity to light, became so prevalent. Some have suggested sexual selection, that our ancestors simply found blue eyes attractive. But could this be the full story? Is it plausible that a simple aesthetic preference could account for the explosive success of such a radical and sudden mutation? Or was something else at play? Ancient astronaut theorists propose a different, more radical explanation. What if this mutation was not a random accident of nature? What if it was a deliberate modification? A genetic signature intentionally placed within the human genome by an external intelligence? An intelligence that, according to legend, possessed the very same traits: tall stature, pale skin, and most importantly, brilliant blue eyes. The sudden appearance of this gene in the exact region that would become the cradle of Indo-European cultures, which are rich with myths of sky gods, is a coincidence too significant to ignore. The theory that the blue-eyed gene was an extraterrestrial implant is one of the most provocative ideas in the ancient astronaut canon. It suggests that the tall whites, in their role as cosmic gardeners, chose to leave a living, breathing marker of their influence within our species. This wasn't a monument of stone that could crumble, or a text that could be lost or mistranslated. It was a biological signature, a made-by-Arcturians tag woven directly into our DNA, designed to be passed down through countless generations. This would be the ultimate, undeniable proof of their interaction with humanity. Consider the implications. If an advanced race wanted to track the progress of a specific bloodline they had influenced, what better way than to give them a distinct physical marker that was easy to spot? Blue eyes are a recessive trait, meaning 2 copies of the gene are needed for it to be expressed. This makes it a perfect tool for tracking genetic heritage. The tall whites could, in theory, observe human migration patterns and the intermingling of peoples simply by watching for the appearance of this unique eye color. It would be a simple, elegant, and permanent method of data collection on a planetary scale. This theory also offers a potential solution to the puzzle of why the blue-eyed trait spread so successfully. Perhaps it wasn't just sexual selection based on simple attractiveness. What if the individuals carrying this new gene also carried other, less obvious advantages gifted to them by their extraterrestrial benefactors? Maybe they were endowed with slightly higher intelligence, stronger immune systems, or an innate capacity for leadership. These sky god descendants would have naturally risen to positions of power, ensuring their genes, including the blue-eyed marker, were passed on to future generations with greater frequency. This idea transforms the story of blue eyes from a random accident into a deliberate act of creation. It reframes a segment of humanity as a hybrid lineage, a bridge between Earth and the stars. According to this theory, the tall whites are not just ancient visitors, they are our ancestors. They are the silent partners in human evolution, the guardians of a specific bloodline they themselves engineered. This would mean that for thousands of years, a portion of humanity has carried a secret in their eyes, a silent testament to an encounter that changed our world forever. If a race of tall, pale-skinned beings visited our ancestors, we should expect to find evidence of their presence in the stories and art they left behind. And when we look, that is precisely what we find. The myths of ancient cultures worldwide are filled with descriptions of gods who were not ethereal spirits, but physical beings who walked the earth. The Sumerian Anunnaki, for example, were described as towering figures who descended from the heavens in fiery chariots to create and guide early humanity. Is it a coincidence that these gods were said to have genetically engineered Homo sapiens as a worker race? We see a similar pattern in Norse mythology. The Aesir, the principal pantheon of gods, including Odin and Thor, were depicted as tall, powerful, and often fair-haired or light-eyed. They lived in Asgard, a realm in the sky, but frequently traveled to Midgard, our Earth, to interact with mortals. They possessed incredible technology, from Odin's spear that never missed its mark to Thor's mighty hammer, Mjolnir. Were these fantastical weapons, or were they misunderstood descriptions of advanced extraterrestrial technology, wielded by beings who looked remarkably like the tall whites? The parallels are striking and honestly difficult to dismiss as mere coincidence. The evidence is not limited to mythology. Ancient art and archaeology provide tantalizing clues. Across the globe, from the cave paintings of Kimberley, Australia, with their Wandjina sky spirits with large eyes and pale faces, to megalithic statues on remote islands, we find depictions of unusually tall figures. In Valcamonica, Italy, ancient rock carvings estimated to be 10,000 years old show humanoid figures with halo-like circles around their heads, wearing what appear to be suits. Are these primitive drawings of gods, or are they eyewitness accounts of visitors in protective gear, perhaps even space helmets? This pattern continues with the Proto-Indo-European peoples, like the Yamnaya culture, who emerged from the Black Sea region, the very same place where blue eyes first appeared. These nomadic warriors swept across Europe and Asia, spreading their language, culture, and their myths of powerful sky fathers. They worshipped gods of the sun and storm who rode across the heavens. Is it possible that the leaders of these migrations were the original human extraterrestrial hybrids, the first children of the tall whites? Their historic expansion could be the story of the blue-eyed gene conquering a continent. The idea of a superior, ancient bloodline descended from sky gods did not remain in the realm of myth. In the early 20th century, these concepts were twisted into a dangerous and dark political ideology. In Germany, esoteric groups like the Thule Society and the Frill Gesellschaft became obsessed with finding the origins of a supposed Aryan race. They believed that a pure, noble lineage of humanity, characterized by fair hair and blue eyes, were the direct descendants of a lost super race from a mythical northern land like Thule or Hyperborea, or even from the stars themselves. These occult societies blended ancient mythology with a fervent nationalism. They sponsored expeditions to places like Tibet and Antarctica, searching for proof of this master race and its lost advanced technology. A key figure in this movement was a medium named Maria Orsic, who claimed to be in telepathic contact with extraterrestrial beings from the Aldebaran system. According to her, these beings were tall, fair, and looked just like the idealized Aryan. They allegedly provided her with technical blueprints for building anti-gravity flying machines, known as the Vril and Honebu flying saucers. This belief system directly influenced the highest echelons of the Nazi Party. The Nazi ideal of the Übermensch, or Superman, was a direct reflection of the physical description of these supposed Aryan ancestors, the tall whites. They believed this blue-eyed, blonde-haired ideal was a sign of racial purity and superiority. Is it possible that the Nazis, in their occult research, had stumbled upon a genuine truth about an ancient extraterrestrial intervention, but had grotesquely misinterpreted its meaning? They saw it as a license for conquest and genocide, rather than a story of shared cosmic heritage. Declassified documents and persistent rumors suggest that this connection may have gone beyond mere ideology. Whispers of secret Nazi bases in Antarctica, like Neuschwabenland, where they allegedly continued their research on recovered alien technology, have fueled speculation for decades. While many of these claims are difficult to verify, the core idea remains haunting. The very same traits attributed to the benevolent tall white guardians became the twisted justification for one of the darkest chapters in human history. It serves as a powerful warning about how the search for our origins can be corrupted by hatred and fear. While the story of the tall whites has ancient roots, it does not end in the past. In modern times, the tales have shifted from myth and occultism to the realm of ufology and military whistleblowers. The most prominent and detailed account comes from Charles Hall, a former United States Air Force weather observer who was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada during the 1960s. Hall claims that the United States military has had a long-standing, cooperative relationship with a species of tall, white-skinned extraterrestrials at a remote facility on the base, which he calls Area 53. Hall's descriptions are incredibly specific and align perfectly with the historical archetypes. He describes the tall whites as being slender, standing between 6 and 9 feet tall, with pale skin, large blue eyes, and thin platinum blonde hair. He claims they can live for up to 800 years and communicate using a high-pitched dog-like language, though they are also capable of telepathy. According to Hall, these beings are not prisoners or subjects of study. They are powerful visitors with whom the military has a fragile and often tense technological exchange agreement. They are here, he insists, by their own choice. According to his testimony, the tall whites would often travel in family groups, with their children sometimes interacting with the human personnel on the base. They required special protective suits and sunglasses to shield their sensitive eyes and skin from the harsh desert sun, which could explain ancient depictions of gods in strange attire. Hall even alleges that the military would occasionally help disguise them for trips into nearby cities like Las Vegas, allowing them to observe human society up close. This suggests their presence is not just ancient, but ongoing and active in the modern world. Hall's story, detailed in his Millennial Hospitality book series, remains one of the most compelling and controversial accounts in UFO literature. While skeptics dismiss his claims as fantasy, his supporters point to the consistency of his descriptions and the calm, credible manner in which he presents his experiences. If he is telling the truth, it means that the beings our ancestors called gods are not only real, but they are living among us, walking the deserts of Nevada under the watchful eye of the United States government. The guardians from Arcturus may have never left. If we accept the possibility that the tall whites are real and have been interacting with humanity for millennia, the most crucial question remains: what is their ultimate purpose? The narrative is complex and filled with contradictions. On one hand, they are presented as benevolent guardians, celestial shepherds watching over their flock. They allegedly initiated the blue-eyed gene as a way to mark a lineage they wish to observe and perhaps subtly guide toward a higher state of evolution. This paints them as patient, long-term investors in the human project, interested in our spiritual and technological growth. On the other hand, some accounts, including those of Charles Hall, describe them as being aloof, territorial, and at times, dangerous. Hall noted that they could be quick to anger, and that interactions with them were often fraught with tension and fear. This suggests a relationship that is less about benevolent guardianship and more about a practical, self-interested arrangement. Perhaps Earth is simply a convenient outpost, a place for them to refuel or conduct research, and their relationship with humanity is one of convenience, not kinship. They might view us the way we view wildlife in a national park, interesting to observe but ultimately separate and inferior. A third possibility is that their agenda is beyond our comprehension. As beings with an 800-year lifespan and technology that seems like magic to us, Their goals might operate on a timeline and a scale that we cannot possibly grasp. Their interest in our genetics might not be about improving us, but about preserving a genetic library. Perhaps life on Earth is rare, and they are acting as cosmic conservationists, ensuring that the unique blueprint of humanity survives whatever challenges lie ahead, whether they be self-inflicted or from an external cosmic threat. This makes them neither benevolent gods nor cold observers, but something far more alien cosmic archivists. Their introduction of the blue-eyed gene might have been a simple cataloging system, a way to tag a specific sample. The chosen bloodline may not be superior, but simply the one they happen to modify. This perspective is humbling, as it removes us from the center of the story. We are not their special children, but merely one of many fascinating specimens in a vast galactic collection. The truth of their intentions remains the deepest part of the mystery. The legend of the tall whites, intertwined with the scientific reality of the blue-eyed gene, presents us with a profound and unsettling question about who we are. It forces us to look at our own history, our myths, and our very DNA through a new and speculative lens. Is it all just a series of remarkable coincidences? Is it a coincidence that a unique eye color appeared suddenly 10,000 years ago, in the very region that would give rise to cultures that worship tall, fair-skinned sky gods? Is it a coincidence that these gods match the descriptions of modern extraterrestrial encounters? Mainstream science provides a clear, if less exciting, explanation. The blue-eyed gene is a random natural mutation. The myths of sky gods are simply the personification of natural forces by our imaginative ancestors. And modern UFO accounts are a product of misidentification, psychological phenomena, and outright hoaxes. This is the rational, evidence-based view, and it may well be the correct one. It provides a neat and tidy picture of human history, one that requires no outside interference and keeps humanity firmly at the center of its own story, evolving under its own power. Yet the mystery endures because the alternative narrative speaks to a deep-seated human desire to believe we are not alone in the universe. The theory of the tall whites as our genetic ancestors offers a grander, more epic story of our origins. It suggests that humanity is part of a larger cosmic community, that our destiny is tied to the stars, and that there is a purpose to our existence that extends beyond this planet. It gives a deeper, almost spiritual meaning to a simple physical trait, transforming blue eyes into a symbol of a forgotten, celestial heritage. Ultimately, whether you believe the tall whites are real or a powerful modern myth, their story forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge. It reminds us that there are still profound mysteries about our own past that remain unsolved. The sudden appearance of blue eyes is a scientific fact. The ancient myths of sky gods are a historical reality. The connection between them may be speculative, but it creates a narrative that challenges us to keep asking questions, to keep looking at the sky, and to wonder if, somewhere in our ancient past, we were visited by guardians who left their mark not in stone, but in our very eyes.